All right, everybody, we're back again with another Q&A. Let's get right to it with the first question of the day.
Does youth sports create a lasting foundation in anaerobic conditioning and coordination? Well, those are two separate things, right? No to anaerobic conditioning. Even in adult professional athletes, if you go 8 to 12 weeks without doing any anaerobic conditioning, you can return completely to baseline. The adaptations from anaerobic conditioning are rapidly accumulated, and they rapidly dissipate as well. So you can detrain super fast on that. As far as coordination, balance, injury resistance, pain tolerance, yes, youth sports creates lasting advantages and all of those things. And it's why even when you're looking at lifting sports, whether it's strongman, bodybuilding, and even powerlifting, almost unilaterally, all of the best strength and physique athletes were former athletes in their childhood. They all played sports. Recommended splits for intermediates. If they're a newer intermediate, the right split is usually upper lower, but keep in mind that everybody has a different situation in terms of the amount of days that they can train, time availability, and all of that. So sometimes you have to work around the person's real life limitations. And if they can only train 2 or 3 times a week, full body is going to be more appropriate, even if that's normally a beginner split. If it's a more advanced intermediate, or it's somebody with like an endurance background, or somebody who just has a lot of time on their hands and they're way ahead of the curve in terms of adherence, or they just have really established needs, like maybe they already compete in physique sports, then push-pull legs can be good for more advanced intermediates as well. One of those two usually. Is it okay to just exist? Well, realistically, objectively, you only have 2 biological imperatives: survival and replication. And due to either God's design or some freak accident of evolution, we developed consciousness, which allows us to override our biological imperatives. And sadly, but surely, people kill themselves every day, overriding the most important biological imperative. So if you want to spend the one chance that you have at life doing absolutely nothing other than existing, that is your right. But I think it's a fucking waste of life.
What is the most versatile GymPin? The original 8mm GymPin will fit the most amount of machines. In all actuality, maybe 75 to 80% of machines are made to have a 10mm hole. So the newer GymPins, like the Kingpin, will fit most machines. But if you have an 8mm pin, it will fit into a 10mm hole. It won't be perfectly snug. If that's a problem, you can always wrap a paper towel around the end and then put it in. So the 8mm will fit the most amount of machines. I have terrible workouts from 200 milligrams of Deca. The forearm pumps and lower back pumps are ruining things. You're just too fat, man. It's pretty much that simple. Lower your body fat. Terrible lower back pumps are from being fat and from having too much water retention. So if you're not actually fat, switch to Prima Bolin or Masteron. Pretty simple stuff. Why do ab mat crunches feel harder than the full weight stack on my ab crunch machine? It's likely because you're using the ab mat as a pivot point, which allows you to fully lengthen the abs. And whatever way that you're using the machine, or it's just a bad machine, you are not fully lengthening the abs. So you're starting from a partially shortened position where you have better leverage. Also, a lot of those machines have like cable to pulley ratios where you're not lifting the actual weight listed anyway. But that's likely what it is. You're just getting a better range of motion when you're doing regular crunches. I can tell you that for me, body weight crunches, no matter what apparatus that I'm using, are nowhere near as hard as a full machine stack on the ab machines that I have access to. Influencers are telling me that saving money is useless. Well, what they mean is that you shouldn't just be sitting on hundreds of thousands of dollars in your bank account. You should be putting that into an investment vehicle so that it doesn't lose value against inflation. Simple stuff. Should I put my money in an ETF? Well, man, since it sounds like you literally have no idea what's going on from an investment perspective, I'm going to recommend a book to you. It's called Master the Money Game by Tony Robbins. Keep in mind that there is quite a bit of self-promotion going on in there, but the concepts are sound. So the most hands-off, lowest risk investment that an American can make is to put their money into an index fund that tracks the S&P 500. There are ETFs that do this as well. And the reason why that's the case is that you're already invested in the American economy. You're likely going to live here. You're likely going to work in that economy. So if that economy fails, I mean, you're anyway, right? So your hedge is like the country would have to fail for the S&P 500 to fail. And the S&P 500 has a 120-year track history at this point and averages something like 9 to 11% annually. And even the worst of inflation isn't going to get anywhere near that. So look into index funds. You can do it through an ETF if you want, but that's where I would go. I got really sick at the beginning of my last week of my mesocycle. Should I deload early and recover and then do week 5? No, the reason for that is just going to be because if you deload to recover and then you do week 5, then what are you going to do? Deload again right after that? And now you've deloaded 2 weeks out of 3. It's probably just unnecessary. If you've gotten sick on the last week of your mesocycle, I would just deload a week early and then start a new mesocycle once you feel better. How to tell which training strategy was better if they both generated progress? Well, which one generated more progress? You're going to look at before and after pictures to try and see if there's a visible difference in muscle gain, assuming this is for hypertrophy. And if you can't do that, if there's not a visible difference, well then 1, you know there wasn't a big difference either way. But 2, look at which one generated faster rates of strength gains, assuming that you weren't using some super minimal peaking style volume. All right, everybody, that is the end of the Q&A. You know what to do. Like the video if you like the video. Leave any comments or questions below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And, of course, have a nice day.